What would love do in this moment? Hey guys, it's John sitting here in my living room on a very cold day outside. The ground is covered in snow and it's very pretty to look at out there. But I wanted to hop on and talk about this concept of what would love do. Many of us talk about the idea of what would Jesus do. This is the same principle. It's exactly the same principle. And what would love do in this moment, or what would Jesus do in this moment? The key to this is what would love do? What would Jesus do? It's the doing that matters. It's the thought, word, and the deed. And at this moment, what I'm doing is drinking a little bit of John's Joe. What would love do in the moment? We go through life processing through our own fears and anxieties. This is part of the primal survival mechanism we all live into. We tend to look at the world from the process of what is a threat and what is not. And when you realize that you're coming at a situation or coming at an individual with a fear first, expecting something negative, expecting something bad, and you start looking at the process in front of you as a threat rather than as a giving love first, what happens is you discover that you're actually creating the negative responses yourself. In spirituality, there's a concept of God being love. Now, you can find this in almost every spiritual tradition in the world, that God is aligned with love in some way. In the book of John, it says God is love. And when you look at it as your guiding principle of being aligned with that loving feeling or that sensation, you're actually looking at your life from the perspective of basically delivering God. Because if you are thinking that God is love and you are choosing to be loving and choosing to be caring, you're delivering God to the world. And what happens is the delivery method is through our thoughts, words, and actions. And the deeds that you do are the measure by which your love is seen. When you go and you hold that door for someone, that's a loving action. You are showing the world love. When you give that person who's standing out there in 20-degree temperatures begging for money at the red light, and you give that person $5, that's a loving action. The story we tell ourselves about what they're going to do with that money is really just a story. Are you being loving enough to give? Are you being loving enough to care? In my time doing my comedy sword fighting show, we produced the largest charity event, Christmas charity event, in the Baltimore region. It was known as the Hack and Slash Christmas Special. We sent multiple kids to Walt Disney World through the Make-A-Wish Foundation. We raised money for the Wounded Warriors. We funded 16 global clean water projects around the world. We've collected over 20 tons of food and clothing for local homeless shelters. We raised so much money for charities, and we helped build a Habitat for Humanity build. And we even sponsored other people's charities and things that they were funding. We actually said, let us help you, reach your goals as well. And we did that as well. The goal of that whole event was to be loving, to be caring, to deliver something beautiful to the world. I didn't make a dime off of that event. Sometimes I got my gas covered. Most of the time I didn't. But we did a lot of charity work with that work, my USO tours. It was a wonderfully cool experience to go do, but why did we go do it? Because people were volunteering to go anywhere in the world to defend us, and it made logical sense. If we're believing in a loving world and we're being loving, to go and do something for them who did something loving for us. It's your deeds. It's your thoughts, words, and your deeds. What actions are you taking? What would love do in this moment? And when you look at your life, you're going through the world defensively. The reason why you're defensive is because you're focused on the negative. You're focused on the struggles of life. You're focusing on your fears and anxieties. You're looking at threats or looking for threats. I never think that way. I'm aware of my surroundings. I know what's going on, but I also know that if I bring love to that surrounding, I will create a loving experience around me. I tell the story of going to Egypt and being treated beautifully everywhere I went and meeting someone else who wasn't, because of the fact that they went into the situation with the expectation of threat, and I went into the situation with the expectation of love, and I acted upon my love. I spoke to people without any reservation. I walked to a hotel at Mount Sinai, and I said to the manager, "I love your country. I love your people." That's the first thing I said to the guy in the hotel. He said, "What do you love?" I said, "What?" He said, "What do you enjoy?" And I said, "Well, I love the food, especially." He said, "What kind of food?" I said, "Kosher and full." And he looked at me weird and he says, "That's the peasant food. Why are you eating the peasant food?" I was eating the local food because I was being embraced by the locals. And when dinner came, that man, everybody else in the hotel got the same dinner. And we got a giant bowl of koshery with one of the foods I said I liked, came to my table. And then on top of it, we got the full meal that everybody else got too. It comes down to understanding that what you do and the way you present yourself and the way you expect the world to be is what the world will show you. And your thoughts, words, and deeds, your actions that you take are a reflection of your belief. And if you believe defensively, you're going to put up barriers around yourself, and the people around you are going to experience it and see it. When you run into somebody who is mad, frustrated, angry, criticizing, someone hateful, do you react in defense and feed their fears and anxieties and stresses? Or do you recognize that they're in fear and start listening and starting to understand what they're afraid of and then try to help them alleviate their fear? If you come at it from a defensive posture, you're only emboldening the problem. If you show them love and compassion in the moment, you've given them the off ramp to their negativity. You've given them the opportunity to become more loving, become more trusting. That's the key to this whole love thing, is that it has to be in motion. It has to be in action. You have to be an action hero, not a reaction zero. You've got to step into this reality and say, I am loving, and these are the actions that love would do in the now. And when you take those actions, people feel that love, and they come back at you with the expectation that it's just simply beautiful. And in that beauty of that love, you get to see that love blossom into something bigger, to grow. You are planting a seed when you are delivering love. You are planting the seed of love that has the potential to grow. Now, they're going to have to nurture that seed. They're going to have to take care of that seed. They're going to have to choose to create that seed being a focus in their life. But they never can do those things if you don't plant the seed. You're the one who has to plant the seed of love. You have to do the actions that show that love exists in the world so that they can trust that love exists in the world. That really is the key to delivering God in the now. You also have to remember that you have to love yourself equally. Because if you're part of God, which I believe, we're all part of God, there's no part of God that's not worthy. And if God is love and we're part of love, then our very nature is love. And so to come to the space of living out our very nature, which is loving, and do the actions that show love in the physical, we are literally creating love for ourselves as well. We're creating an environment around ourselves that has the potential for more love to be shown to us. The more we love, the more love we get in return. The more we accept other people's fears and anxieties and embrace them and empower them, the more we're creating turmoil around our world. Your job is only to remain loving. What they're believing is none of your business. It's only what you believe, what you're creating into this experience, and the thoughts, words, and deeds that you're taking in the now. I see somebody who's growing a YouTube channel, or I meet somebody in one of my private sessions who's just starting a YouTube channel. The most loving thing I can do for them is help them grow their YouTube channel because that's what they're doing. So what do? I tell them to interview me so that I can tell you guys about it, so I can share their message to a broader audience, so I can help them find their footing. To me, that's the most loving thing I could do for someone who is whose focus is on creating that. When I look at the world from the aspect of, like, my son's in college right now, and my son knows that no matter what he says, no matter what's going on, that my love is completely unconditional for him. If he called right now and said, I need you to come, I'd turn off this camera and go. There's no question I would turn off this camera and go. Of course, I'd probably talk to him, figure out if I really need to go, figure out I can solve it quicker and faster by not going. But if he needed me to come, I would be there, because that's what love does. When I did the eulogy for my mother many years ago, I told all of the amazing things that she did in secret, feeding the homeless. She delivered Meals on Wheels. She did all these very big, beautiful, loving, charitable things. And in my eulogy, there was a line I kept coming back to. I kept saying, she didn't regret doing it. She did it. She did it because it's what you do. She did it because it's what you do. If you define yourself as a loving individual, then you do loving things. It's what you do. Something comes up in the process and you have the ability to help. It's what you do because you have the ability. It comes back to this process of understanding that not only are you a part of God, but you're the delivery method of God. You're the one who delivers the love. You're the one who gets to express love in the physical world. You're the one who gets to be the example of what love can be, so that others can choose to be loving as well. It is what you do. It's what you do. So as you're going through life and you have this response where you're reacting from a survival mechanism, remember the first thing you do is exhale. Come back to that place of letting your fears and anxieties out. Let your body know it's safe. And then act upon love. Give something loving. Do something loving. Say something loving. Give them a smile. Give them a look of compassion. Let them feel someone loving them. And when you do that simple exhale that you've given to yourself is you saying, I am safe. You're loving yourself enough to let yourself know that you're safe and to let yourself know that your very nature's love. Because when you exhale, you shut off the fear response, and fear is the illusion of not being loved. And so you come back to that space of realizing that you get to express that love and be that love in the now, for the now to be realized into something more beautiful. Understand also that when you are delivering that love, that person that you are delivering it to is going to feel it. They're going to experience it. Some of them are going to choose it. Most of them will probably choose it because they'll exhale at your response. And what happens? They'll be kinder to the next person. They'll be more loving to the next person. And the simple love and the simple action you create out of your divine relationship with love, you literally are creating a ripple effect into the world that goes out and creates love further and further out. It really comes down to you deciding that you are loving. I am a bright spot in this world so others can choose to be bright spots in theirs. And we change the world by creating a ripple effect of love that goes out. And those waves hit the shores of the other side of the pond, but it affects the world. I have the opportunity to talk to people all over the world every day. When I'm doing my private sessions, I'm talking to people from all different countries, all over the world. And I feel like I'm delivering love to the world. I feel like I'm connecting to people all over the world. I feel like I'm literally affecting the world in such positive ways. And I see people telling me how they've changed their life because they've started living a loving life. They started living into that love and that expression, being love and delivering love and expressing love so that love starts to surround them. I have literally witnessed that. And I'm not alone. You're loving. You can choose to be loving. You can choose to exhale and come into this world and express that love into the world around yourself. You can't save the world, but you can make your part of the world so bright that the world chooses to save itself around you. It really comes down to you making that conscious choice and then taking an action, doing something loving. All the power is in your hands. You have the ability to make a present moment choice. Remember, I am is a declaration. You declare your life. I am love. I am love. If you declare that you are love and that you are delivering love because that is the very nature of your essence, the world will change around you in positive ways. But you have to make that choice. You have to make the conscious choice to say, I am loving, and then take the actions that are associated with being loving. When you do that, you will experience a greater awareness of your own spirituality. So as you go through your day and your week and your month and your year, what would love do? Every situation comes up. Ask yourself, what would love do? And what would love do? Love would look at this person with compassion, look at this negative person and start to listen to what they're afraid of, because fear is the illusion of not being loved. And if you can negate their fears or you can alleviate their fears, you have literally created an environment where love can take root. And that's your job. Sow the seeds of love and then assist it in taking root so that love can ripple out into the world and create a world that is nothing but loving. And that's my thought on this. You guys have a great day. And I'll talk to you soon. See ya. Bye.